Hi, welcome to Inge's Knitting Lab Along and this series on how to make the Lacy Cable tee. Finally, I'm ready to get started with my project. I've done the swatching, I've packed my project bag. So in this episode, I will show you how you start the back increases by alternating increases with Lacy Cable stripes and tree trunk stripes. If you want to see how I do the actual increases, purl and knit increases to the right and to the left, on the right and the wrong side, have a look in the end of the video. So here in my project box, I have packed 10 bullet skeins expected for my size, and I would like to add the sequins. So they are here and my needles 4mm. And just a practical remark, when I did my gauging here, I had 22 stitches and 29 rows, so it is not exactly on target gauge as called for in the pattern. So I have looked at the size conversion chart and decided to go up a size, so I will go from size XL to 2XL. Let's get started. Let's start having the overview before we dig into the knitting. And let's look at one finalized tee here. We do the cast on here, the back neckline, and now we will make increases and alternate between increases of tree trunk stripes and Lacy Cable stripes. Tree trunk and Lacy Cable. So for my size here, we will do 4 stripe increases. You may also have more increases in larger sizes. And we make the increases according to this table in the pattern. I will get back to it. And when we make the increases, we make the increases over here leaning to the left and these ones leaning to the right, so that they lean towards each other. When looking from the wrong side, they look like leaning to the right and the left. We will look at it when we get to it. So yeah, let's have a look at the table here, because I have tried to separate in the actions we do on a row. So you see the 4 rows here giving us 1 vertical Lacy Cable repeat. And here you see the edge stripes here and here, giving us the very characteristic shoulder seam here on the European shoulder construction. And inside these edge stripes, you see the increases. So these are the increases over here, and here are the increases over here. And when you look at row number 2, you will see that in this column here, I write the increase, but also the stitches you increased in the former row that you have to work now. In between here, you see the SPR repeat being Lacy Cable stripe and a tree trunk stripe. And as we have an uneven number of stripes here at the cast on, we need an extra stripe after the repeat, being the Lacy Cable stripe, this one. So this is why this has been separated, because this is not a full repeat. So this is how it goes. If you want to see how I do the actual increases on the right side and the wrong side, leaning to the right, leaning to the left, being knits and purl increases, then look in the end of the video. Yeah, let's get to it. I have just cast on the stitches and worked the setup row on the wrong side and placed the stitch markers just as in episode 4 in the tree trunk series. It's exactly the same. So now I can start with row 1 here. So I work the first 4 edge stitches like this. Now I have the increased part here, slip marker, and make 1 left. So I lift the strand and work it to the left. Then I go to the SPR section here, purl 1, slip 1 knitwise, knit 2, pass over, purl 1, knit 3. So now I have done the first repeat of the 8 stitches, so I have to do 4 more of those. So that is what I will do, and we can meet at the end here. I have now worked the last one here in this section, so now I'm here at the LC part. So I will purl 1, slip 1 knitwise, knit 2 and pass over to make the final lacy cable stripe. And then I have the +1 here, which in this case is a purl 1. I make 1 to the right, lift the bar and make 1 to the right, slip marker and knit 4. I have reached row 2 here now, so I will show you how to do the same principle on the wrong side. So I do the 4 edge stitches, and now I'm here. I will slip the marker, make 1 purl right, and then knit the purl that I got increased up here. So slip marker, lift the bar and purl it to the right. Then I have the purl 1, and this purl 1 on the first row is now a knit 1 here on the wrong side. I will do this, and now I'm here. So purl 1 yarn over purl 1, and knit 1, purl 3, knit 1, so now I have done the full SPR repeat here, and I will do it again. And I guess I have picked the former version of the pattern because of course it also has to be 4 here. So now I have reached the LC cable here on the wrong side. So again, it's just the same, purl 1, yarn over purl 1, and knit 1, and then I move over here to the increases. So I purl the one that I increased in the last row, former row. I lift the strand here and make 1 purl to the left. So it's a bit tricky. I have to catch the stitch from the behind here. Here you go. I slip the marker and then I purl the 4 edge stitches. And this is the way this table goes. So let me just work the next 2 rows here, and we can see how the first increased stripe looks. I have now finalized the first 4 rows here in the first table, and you can see here it is now increased by a tree trunk stripe in each side. So let's move on to the second table here, where we will make an increase of a lacy cable stripe. So I will just read the table here in exactly the same way, using the edge stripes, the increases, and so on. So let's meet when I've done the 4 rows and see how it looks. I have now finalized 8 rows, so the second table here is also done, and we were supposed to increase by a lacy cable stripe, but look here, it doesn't look like a lacy cable stripe yet, not until we make yet another repeat of the 8 rows. So here at row 1, where we do this passover, we will make a passover here, and it will look like a lacy cable stripe. So this is how it looks. Let's make a small quality check to see if we did the increases leaning to the right place. So on the right hand side it should be leaning left, leaning right. Let's have a look. We see the small loops here leaning to the left. It looks nice. And over here they should be leaning to the right. Yes, they do. We can also have a look at the wrong side, because there you have these nice drapey loops leaning to the right and leaning to the left. Yeah, so now we know we are on the right track. Let me work these two tables once more so that I have in total 16 rows, and we can see how it looks like. I've made the extra repeat of these two tables here, giving me in total 4 vertical lacy cable repeats. And again, we see the phenomenon here that the stripe, which is going to be a lacy cable stripe, doesn't really look like one yet until we do the next row, the SPR1 row with a passover stitch here. So according to pattern, I need 4 more rows now to give me the number of rows which will give me my correct width of the shoulder, and that will be 5 stripes. So let me do 4 more rows without increases, and we will meet again. The extra 4 rows here are now done, and as expected, this has now become a true lacy cable stripe. So most sizes end here with the back piece to move on to pick up stitches for the shoulder pieces after a small little trick with the stitch markers, which will show up in next episode. However, for my size, we need yet 4 more rows to give us the same height on the back as we need the length of the shoulder pieces here. I will now rewind and show you in more detail how I do the different kinds of increases and how I make kind of sentences or rhymes for myself on how to remember how to do it. Here's an example of a make one left, so make one leaning to the left. I just pick up the bar from the row below, place it on the left hand needle. I keep the right hand needle tip inside the stitch, and then I knit it, and then I have a left increasing stitch. I will now show you a right leaning knit increase. So I lift the bar from the front, place it onto the left hand needle. I do this to help me get some room, because in the first leg I will knit the new stitch. So now you see this stitch leaning to the right. I'm on the wrong side, showing you how to make one purl leaning to the right. You see these kind of drapey loops here. So again, I pick up the bar from the strand below, the row below, and place it onto the left hand needle, and then I purl the front leg like this. When I learned to do all these increases for the European shoulder construction, I was looking quite a lot at videos and paper on how to figure it out. So I started telling myself kind of rhymes or sentences on how to remember the stitches. And when I reached this one on the wrong side here on the left hand side, I remember it by 4 backs, 4 back. So I'm on the back side, I'm on the back end of the project, that's 2 backs. I lift the strand from behind, that's also back, and I purl it in the back leg, so that was 4 backs. Back side, back end, lift from the back, and work in the back loop. Yeah, that's how I do it, because it's easier for me. I will now show you the last variation of the increases here from the wrong side, where we have reached this part, so we need to make one right leaning to the right. So again, I pick the strand from the row below, from the front, place it on the left hand needle. I make room with my tip here and knit it in the front leg. This is how it looks with a drapey stitch like this. Here is the final variation of the increases. On the left hand side we want to make one leaning to the left, so I pick up the strand from the row below from behind, place it on the left hand needle. I keep the right hand needle tip inside the stitch and just knit it. There you go. We've reached the end of the episode, so let's meet up in the next one, where I will talk about these back stitch markers, how we move them and why they are important and being used later on in the project. Roger and over from Inge's Knitting Lab Along. Bye bye.